we saw each other from across the room. A lot of us saw him from across the room. Let me just say that. But for whatever reason, we kind of, you probably made eye contact with a lot of people, but we made eye contact. You made eye contact?
I definitely did. I'm not good.
I was about to say we made eye contact, but I'm like, I was probably not the only one you made eye contact with.
Actually, no. But, I mean, in natural sense, of course, I didn't make eye contact with just you. I saw everybody.
No, I'm not talking about eye contact. Is different from looking and seeing somebody. When I say eye contact, like you guys lock eyes.
Okay.
Really, I see you. You see me. I see you. You see me.
Did I have people I locked eyes?
Anyways, I was probably not the only ones I was locked eyes with that day.
Blessings and love. It is always a great day here at Refuge and Fortress. My name is Yemi Emmanuel. I go by PY, and this is my Darling Bride podcast. And today I have with me very special guest, my co-host, my bride, my everything, right? Somebody by the name of
Loni O.
Yes. So a lot, and so this is the reason why I have to introduce her into this is because she is a guest. She's a guest.
Imagine.
She's a guest. She's a guest on this podcast. But now I want to welcome you guys back again onto another beautiful time with us.
Yes.
As you already know, this is our brand new podcast that we are starting. It's a little different from our old podcast, where we had all our programs on that one podcast. But this one is going to be specifically only for relationship. And what is the point of this podcast? Is digging and discovering precious gems to help us build kingdom homes, kingdom fulfilled homes and relationships, one episode at a time, using your story, our story, everybody else's story, and we can all come together and learn. And so it's only right that today,
the very first episode, the pilot episode, right, is going to be you, because you are your
my darling
number
bride.
one.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So
I'm the number one person in your life.
But anyway,
it only makes sense.
All right, so let's do some housekeeping very quickly, right? What are we going to be doing, right? On this podcast, we're going to do it by seasons, right? It's going to be seasonal, and each season is going to have 13 to 17 episodes, depending on how long we got to stretch it, or depending on how much or how long the conversation is going for, and we kind of have to stop and wait till the next week, right? So that's what's going to be happening. The first season is going to go on from today, which is October, until December. And then we'll pick up a new season starting next year, right? This particular season, we're talking about at the core. In other words, what did you do, or what are you doing to get to know your significant other at the core, right? At the core, meaning the real them. On a deeper level, you know what I'm saying? Like on a real deeper level where it's like, man, I really know you. Like, for example, right? Me, for example, a lot of people see me on the outside, and from the surface level, right? I look very unapproachable. I look very serious at all times. You know, I barely smile. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
those
just my
face.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just naturally, my resting face looks like, oh no, don't go near him, right? But in reality, if you get to know me and you're friends with me and you see me at home, I'm a very, very chill, laid back guy, and I'm joking all the time. You should see me playing with my kids, man. Like, I prioritize having fun with my family, right? With friends and family, people that are in my inner circle, so to say. But she's probably the only one who truly knows that side of me, right?
Yeah.
Truly knows the playful, jovial side of me that is like, probably, who knows, maybe one of the reasons why you decided to say, you know what, I do like this guy, right? Because again, you see one thing on the outside, but it's completely different on the inside. And that's not because we're trying to be two-faced. No, it's just a different environment brings out a different you, or a different personality in you, right? But at the end of the day, the one person that should know you at the core, Abby, is your significant other.
Absolutely.
And so that's what we really want to dig into and say, how did you get to know your spouse at their core? Or if that person is not your spouse just yet, maybe you guys are engaged. What are you doing to get to know this person at the core before you even said, yes, let's go the long haul, right? So without wasting too much time, my guest for the day, tell us. So tell us.
What am I telling you?
So let's start here. So how did we meet? Tell me your version of how we met, because sometimes it sounds like we have two different versions of how we met.
Sometimes you just forget something.
Not really.
You just
and we've talked about it before on this channel.
A lot of times,
so
actually.
yes, so tell us very quickly. So because for the sake of the fact that we already talked about it in some other video, go back to it. We'll summarize. So tell us very quickly, how did we meet?
So we met at a youth church convention.
Okay, at a convention.
A yearly convention. It was in Atlanta, and that was your first time there. I've been going to that convention or that yearly convention over the years, so it wasn't my first time, but it was his first time. And it was just he saw something special. Something very special. We were having a breakout session. I think I remember this part. We're having a not even a breakout session, we're having a gathering, like a meet and greet session one day. And we saw each other from across the room. A lot of us saw him from across the room. Let me just say that. But for whatever reason, we kind of, you probably made eye contact with a lot of people, but we made eye contact. You made eye contact?
I definitely did. I'm not good.
I was about to say we made eye contact, but I'm like, I was probably not the only one you made eye contact with.
Actually, no. But, I mean, in natural sense, of course, I didn't make eye contact with just you. I saw everybody.
I'm not talking about eye contact. Is different from looking and seeing somebody. When I say eye contact, like you guys lock eyes.
Okay.
Really, I see you. You see me. I see you. You see me.
Did I have people I locked eyes
Anyways,
with?
I was probably not the only ones I was locked eyes with that day. But it happened multiple times throughout that day. Right? And we kind of just got a sense of almost like a draw to each other in a way. And he approached me. Kind of told me that you've actually noticed me since the day before, which I did notice. I saw you, but I didn't notice the noticing. Do you understand what I'm saying?
You see,
I saw you the day before, the first day that we got there.
Right.
We were in a church just waiting to go to the center, but I didn't notice you noticing me.
Wow.
You know, because I wasn't looking to find anybody, you know, and you weren't either, because
not really.
That wasn't the picture that was painted to you.
Exactly.
Right? So you didn't come there with that kind of mindset.
Yep.
But he kind of made it clear that, you know, I kind of noticed you since, and I want to get to know you more. And during the lunch break, I think we went to just go grab some lunch. Right before a breakout session, we talked for hours, and he was like, I'm going to make you my girlfriend.
Hey.
And I was like, I just met you. What you talking about?
Hey.
What you talking about, Willis?
I just knew. Right? I just knew.
He was like, think about it.
Okay. So she thought about it, and of course,
here we are
how many
today.
years later, here we are today, right?
Yes.
So, but now, that's the story, that's the foundation of how we met. But the question for this season is, how did you, so before I even ask you how you got to know me at the core, because obviously you didn't know me, really. You said yes by faith, right? Even I didn't know you, but I also said, you know what? I sense something in you. God is impressing something upon my heart, and I want to follow through with this. I want to pursue what I'm feeling, right? But there was a work of getting to know now who this person you just said yes to. Now, in your case, what were you looking for in a guy? I know there's probably a lot you were looking for, but I want to know like 3 things that you were looking for in a guy to say, okay, great, let me continue. Because here's the thing. Yes, we said yes to each other. Yes, I came to you the second day. 3rd day, you thought about it. 4th day, we said, yes, let's go, right? And then we parted ways, and we went long distance, and we started dating and everything like that, right? But if what you were looking for example, weren't reflected in me, by month 1, month 2, 6 months into the relationship, you would have been like, oh, my bad, I said yes, but now this ain't really it, right? Because you now have more information as to who I am, right? So before we go into the what you did to know me at the core, what were like your top 3 things that you were looking for in a guy? And go. Let me answer that first, and then I have a second question to ask.
So top 3, what I was looking for in that period of time, right? Number 1, God fearing. I know a lot of times people say, as a Christian, it's the first thing you want to say. You want to find a God-fearing person. But for me, that was the truth. Because before I met him, I had already even had a conversation with God. Like, I want to find somebody I can grow with that's going to be my husband. I don't want him to just drop a
Now,
date.
a lot of people are going to ask this question, right? They're going to be like, okay, well, as they're listeners are going to be like, okay, so you guys met at a convention. You guys started dating day 2 or day 3 of knowing each other, of ever seeing each other for the first time ever. Right? And then you just went on from there. So in your own case, what told you that I was God-fearing from day 1? Or did you come to that realization later on in our relationship? Or you knew that from before you even said yes to our dating?
So when we first met, the very second day of the convention that we met each other officially, we spent hours having a conversation. Like literally throughout that day, I would say we spent 2-3 hours. We were hanging out with each other and we were having just asking each other questions. And based on the discussion, I gathered that.
Okay.
I know that the person you are today, it's not the same person you were back in the day. So there was a lot of growing that still happened spiritually in that kingdom world. So obviously, I wanted a God-fearing guy, but even back then, I didn't even understand what kind of God-fearing guy I wanted because there's different levels to it.
So really, it wasn't so much that you were looking for somebody that was God-fearing. You just, I think what you
somebody in God, somebody that knows,
somebody that has a relationship with God.
Yes.
Right, exactly. So, because you can have a relationship with God and not be God-fearing, right? So let's be clear on that.
That's true.
You can have a relationship with God. You can know of God and not know Him.
Let me put it this way. Somebody that had the same beliefs as I did.
Okay.
So maybe that will simplify
Somebody
it. You're a Christian, I'm a Christian.
Right.
You believe in God, I believe in God. You believe in Jesus, I believe in Jesus.
Got you.
So that's what we, essentially in that early stages, the babe phase, when you say God-fearing, that's really what you mean, right?
So you were looking for somebody who shared the same religious beliefs as you.
Correct.
Perfect. Okay. What else were you looking for?
Somebody ambitious.
Ambitious. Okay.
Yes, that was a big one for me.
Okay.
Mostly because of the kind of family I came from.
Okay.
It's a character that I've always wanted to have in a husband.
Okay.
And I derived that you had that also based on our conversation.
Okay.
That weekend that we met, we had a lot of conversations. We had ambitious talk. We had, what do you want to do in the future? Like there was a lot of things. I knew all the things he wanted to be ever. You know, like there was a lot of conversations we had where we actually spoke deeply about things. So I got that from that conversation as well.
And that's kind of crazy if you think about it, because how many people... And honestly, I'm gonna say this because I really believe that I think we went in that route, that like our conversations went that route because God knew where the relationship was leading or headed, right? And it put us in a position or forced us to be having deep conversations like that. Because to be honest, before you, I've had girlfriends and I've never. Why would I be having deep? Why do I care what you want to be in the future?
And
you know what I'm saying? Like,
I like the fact that you said that because I was actually thinking about that too at some point, where it's not even just almost like it was God ordained. I believe that because it wasn't just almost like, oh, he knew where the relationship was going for sure. Yeah. It was also, he knew what was about to happen right after we met. Right. We were going separate ways. There was a lot of hurdles we had to kind of pass through in order to get to where we are today. So that deep conversation that we had was almost like a good firm foundation to hold on to.
It was unplanned, and for whatever reason, the conversation kept going in that direction. Yeah. And this is another thing too that you got to know too, right? Somebody who can hold deep conversations, right? That's important to me, right? So I'm not, this ain't about me now. So
I mean, yeah, you can throw it at you too. You can throw it at you too. Go ahead.
One thing I look for in a female is not only somebody who can hold conversation, like deep conversation. I like intelligent females. It's so sexy. Like there's just something about a female who is more than just beauty.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because that's a stereotypical thing where it's like, you're beauty, but do you have the brains? Right? And I mean, when I was in college, man, it was always like, hey, it was always like, you know. But anyway, so it's like,
you said a lot,
for me, I really appreciate a lady who is both beautiful, who's got both beauty and brains. Intelligent conversations, deep conversations. Not like we're talking, you're like, man, okay, can we end this conversation and move on to work? Like, you know, you held your own and it made that conversation flow so easily at that time. All right, so what was the third one that you were looking for?
The third one was good looking. I'm not gonna
Let's go. Hey,
I'm not gonna front. You definitely want to be with somebody that you find attractive, you know. So for me, I needed somebody that was good looking.
Thank you.
Yeah.
High five. Indirectly.
You get this once in a while. I throw it at you. Indirectly, I'm saying you're good looking.
I know.
I know. Obviously.
Don't worry. We'll take that one. We'll pocket it.
Oh, fine. I'm not worried. Oh, fine.
No, I'm not. I wasn't worried. Don't worry. Okay, so cool. So you wanted somebody who was. Now this is 3 out of
many.
You know what I'm saying, right? So you wanted somebody who was God fearing. I want to be clear on that God-fearing thing because it's
had the same
somebody who shared the same religious beliefs as you. Let's just leave it there, right?
Yes, because there's levels to it.
And then you wanted somebody who was ambitious, who had a drive. They're headed somewhere in life. They want to get somewhere in life.
Yeah.
And then number 3, somebody who was good looking, right? You want somebody to go fine. And I you know what? I have to say that I appreciate the fact that you said that. The fact that you said that as a Christian woman who can admit, right, that, hey, I want somebody good looking.
Absolutely.
Because I've had somebody ask me one time before, hey, PY, does looks matter in the kingdom? Why not?
Absolutely.
And they were like, well, I don't want to ask my pastor because I don't want people to start thinking I'm shallow. No, sir.
I think what happens is
not about that.
People always thread the line when it comes to holiness and just being of the world or some in a way where it's like, you don't want to be shallow, you don't want to look at the surface level, you shouldn't really care about the outward look, but you should. God cares about good looking things. You know what I'm saying? So it's fine to care about good looking things.
And keep in mind too, right? You said this, and I want to make sure it's not like jumping over people's head, right? You were looking for somebody you found attractive.
Yes.
Remember, in one of my messages the other day, I said everything that God created is good and perfect in His sight.
Absolutely.
And we are all created to give Him glory, to please Him and Him alone. So there is actually no ugly person. I'm telling you, honestly. I've actually come to learn that.
No, that makes sense.
Like even the people you look at from the jump and you're like, oof.
That's just your preference.
It's not even about preference. It really comes down to because you personally have an image of what's beautiful,
right,
that you're already used to,
right.
And so when you see something that doesn't look like that
image,
you think differently. But if you take a second, third, or fourth look, sometimes you'd be like, man, you are actually beautiful, right? So and we've come to call that they grew on me, like, oh, you're growing on me. I'm starting to see the beauty in you. Really, it's just you having a picture of beauty. Like for example, like coming from Nigeria, right? I know a lot of men who thinks women with a little bit of meat on them is thick women are more prettier, a lot more prettier than those who are skinny and they go to the gym and like I know men who think that way, right? And so they're not gonna find a skinny girl attractive. That doesn't mean a skinny girl is not beautiful or a thicker girl is not beautiful. It's just your preference. So that's important, right? So you can be happy every day you wake up looking at your significant other. All right. So now, moving into our relationship, like deeper into our relationship now. What would you say? Because so we dated, We went into the long distance relationship for like the first few years of our relationship. We had a lot of issues that we had to sort through and everything like that. And then I moved closer.
Yes.
And then we started all over again, right? And what I mean all over again is we got to know each other all over again.
Yes.
And again, even that was another issue that we had to deal with and hurdle that we had to, get over and stuff. But then there was a breaking point for you. There was not a breaking point, but like a turning point, I would say, right? For you, where you said, yes, you know what? This is the guy for me, right? So before you came to that conclusion, right? What did you do to get to know me truly at the core, right? Before you derive and drew that conclusion, like, you know what? I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with this dude. What did you do? What did you do to get to know me, right? I want you to answer that question twofold. What did you do, like actions you took to get to know me better, right? And what did you see in me that checked those marks off for you, if that makes sense?
So the first one, what did I do? What was the actions that I took to get to know you?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I got it. So the first part of that question, right? I think you took the first step for that.
Okay.
That helped me.
Okay.
Which was moving closer.
Okay.
So the long distance relationship was tough.
Gotcha.
We were getting to know each other, talking, Skyping. We saw each other like once a year. But I felt like at that moment, we didn't know till you moved closer that we actually didn't know each other deeply like we thought. Right. So being around each other more was number one. Okay. And for me, sorry, baby.
I just want to, so you kind of bridged the gap, right? So if there was any gap, right, anything that just created more gaps,
exactly,
in between you
number
guys
one,
and
fixing that,
right? So you bridge the gap, you close that gap, draw nearer to each other. Okay,
yes, that's number one.
Physically, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, and everything. Yeah.
And then another thing that I did was, and I'm thinking about it now, and I'm trying to see if it makes sense. Was try to develop patience. Okay. And I'm saying that because during that time when you moved closer, there was a lot of fixing and a lot of rearranging we had to do when it came to who we understood each other to be. Okay. And in doing that, patience needed to be there to even try to see if, okay, what I thought I saw back then is still the same thing now. Yeah. And there was a lot of things that was happening that on a regular, I would have said, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. And I think at some point I did say that. But I said it, but physically I didn't leave. Right. I said I'm done and I don't want to do this anymore, but I was still around because I was just trying to work on, you know what, there's something I'm sure about when it comes to you and me. I was sure about it back then. And I'm giving God time, and I'm also giving you time. I'm giving us time because it wasn't just a you thing, it was a me thing. You had your things too. So I'm giving God time to help us through this rough time till we reach that breakthrough. Or if it's just not meant to be, then we're just done. Yeah. So I think, and I'm thinking about it now, and I said that because I never thought about it before. Because back then, I remember that specific year, it was really rough. Where we were seeing each other more often physically. Like, I'll come to see, my family's probably hearing this now. Yeah. There was some times where I had to like leave school, I come to Jersey, say hello, and then go back. They're like, so you ain't going. And they'll be like, where you? I'm like, I'm in Brooklyn. No, I'm not in Brooklyn. No, but that was part of it too. I had to put in some sacrifice in order to develop the relationship where it's, you know, in an African culture, as a woman, they protect you. They want to make sure that when it comes to the opposite sex, you're safe. So I had to make some sacrifices in trying to put some effort in the relationship of, you know, coming to see you. You came to see me for the first half of the relationship most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I had to make the effort of, coming to go on dates with you, meeting up with you when you're done with school, while I'm done with school and stuff like that. So that's part of it too.
Yeah.
I made some sacrifice to be around so that way we can get to know each other more.
Right.
And then I developed patience in trying to let God work and see where, because I was praying as well because I was sure that this is what God wanted for me.
Yeah.
But in that moment, it didn't look like it. It just looked like, man, this does not look like it's gonna work. There's just so many things to figure out, and it's just not clicking. But I was sure of what God told me, so I just kept praying as well, but at the same time asking God for the patience and developing that patience, so that way I can see the breakthrough. I can reach that breakthrough rather than giving up and just saying I'm done.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what was you to get to know me at the call, you gave yourself patience.
Yes.
You drew closer and you made some sacrifice to allow yourself to really get to know this guy and to give this a chance, right?
Yes, exactly.
And to be there. Now, so what would you say was then the turning point? Or the second question, before you go to the turning point, the second question was, what did you see that did it for you?
And it kind of connects with the turning point
It
as
does,
well.
yeah.
The thing that I saw was, and I won't give too much details on the intimate conversation we had, but during one of the toughest times during that year, is one specific year that was just like, whoa! But once we crossed over into the new year, everything just went But that specific year, it was like deep, thick into like the roller coaster of the relationship, and we had a conversation, and that conversation led to you opening up to me and letting me know about something you were trying to break in connection to relationship and yourself. And you said that you realized that this is something that you've seen in your life, in your family and stuff like that, and you're aware of it and you recognize it, and you want to break it because you don't want to live that kind of life. And it was evident at that moment. But you telling me about something that personal, and then recognizing that it's something you don't want to be a part of you. That something about that conversation and that information that you gave me kind of let me know that, okay, this is the kind of guy I want to be with, where you're not perfect. Things is not all the best. It's not like, oh, you're the most perfect person in the world. But you're able to recognize something that's a lot of guys probably don't find easy to do. And then say, you know what, I want to change this, so I'm going to work on it. And you weren't saying it that you want to do it for me. That's another thing too. It wasn't like I want to do it for you. I want to do it for myself because I don't want this lifestyle to be my lifestyle. And that conversation really did it for me, and I feel like right before that conversation, I almost left. Like I was done. But after that conversation was when I started to like, you know what? I need to work on patience. I need to pray. I need to ask God to help me. So that conversation was a turning point for me. And that's when I started to, you know what? We could be friends. Let's just stop. Let's just get to know each other. Let's and all that kind of good stuff. But that right there was what let me know, because that's just one instance that you were referring to. But I was picturing that could happen in a lot of aspects. You could apply that to a lot of aspects where you can just recognize that this is an issue and I want to fix it. Not just for you, but for myself. That's somebody that's growing. That's somebody that wants to grow. That's somebody that wants to evolve. That's somebody that wants to be a better person. And that meant a lot to me.
Got you. So you saw that, and it became like a turning point for you.
Yes.
Where you said, "This is the kind of guy I want to spend the rest of my life with."
Correct.
And of course, the rest has been history since then. Now, the other question that I want to ask now is,
and the turning point. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
The turning point was you actually started the action of what you said started to manifest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you meant what you said and you started to work on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So and that's I'm actually glad you brought that up, because let's cultivate this habit of calling a spade a spade. What is good is good. What is not good is not good. right? And don't paint over what's not good to make it look good. Right. When in reality, you know it's not good.
Yeah.
Now, maybe it takes the help of the Holy Spirit to be able to come to that realization and say, this is not who I am. This is not the kind of person I want to be. Mm-hmm. Or to come to the realization and say, okay, I've seen this before in my family. I've seen this before in generations past. And it looks like it wants to raise its head up in my life, in my generation. Yeah. And I'm not going to allow that.
I don't want it to continue
right?
in my generation.
So it's a choice that you make. Yeah. It's a choice that you make. And you didn't mention this, but I want to add one more thing too, that I believe one of the turning point for us, in line with what you were saying too, was not just that conversation, but also after going through so much and dealing with that particular year that you were talking about, I remember we called each other and I said, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
And we broke everything down, put all the cards on the table. And
shredded
I said,
everything. Like
here is what it is. I mean, tears and everything. We're both like trying to like really, really work on this and make this work. And from the conversation, when the conversation was over, we said something. And I think that's so powerful and so profound that it's actually kept us together even till today. That we wake up every day. I told her, I said, listen, I will wake up every day choosing you.
Yes.
It's a choice.
That was the turning point.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
You don't have to be with me. I don't have to be with you.
But I choose
I choose you.
Yes.
It's a choice.
Yes.
And you choose me. It's a choice that we make on a daily basis. And the reason why I want to bring that up is because even in marriage, in your dating phase, you guys have that rosy and beautiful time and phase in your life.
Phase.
And then you get married and you still have some honeymoon going on in there. And then you get into like year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6. And it's like, whoa. You know what I mean? It's getting thick now, you know? Year 7, 10, you know what I'm saying? Like, but if you don't develop this habit or this mindset rather of waking up every day, looking at the person next to you and saying, I choose you.
Got to.
I choose you 10 times over.
Yes.
I choose you 100 times over. When I look at all I've been through, all we've had to deal with, all we've had to go through, all the hurdles that we've had to jump over.
Yeah.
Will I do this again? Yes. Will I do this again with you? The answer has to be yes.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
It's not a one-time
It's not a one-time thing. You've got to learn to choose each other every day for the journey. And one decision to choose the person in that time could probably last you another 6 months, another year, another 2 years. And then again, you'll be faced with another issue that will force you to say, I choose you again. And then that will last you another. It's a continuous thing, right? So I think that was one of the...
That was the main turning point, because after that conversation and after that moment, it was, we were nobody could stop us. We were on this, doing this together.
It became clear what we had to do.
Yeah.
The cloud was completely removed.
Yeah.
We knew exactly where we were headed.
And we kept working
towards it.
Yeah.
And we've been working towards it. And we're still working on it, right? And we just thank God for it. And I think, I was telling you the other day, my story, right? Because I had an opportunity to go speak somewhere, and somebody wanted me to come share my story with a group of people. And I was asking myself, what is my story, right? Like, what do you want to hear? What do you want to know, right? And then I was just thinking about it, and then I watched a sermon on YouTube of a pastor that I respect so much, highly. And middle of the night, like 2 a.m. at night, I'm watching this man, 4 or 5 messages of the same man, and I'm just like enjoying his message. And in those 5 messages, I saw him almost repeating the same thing, different message, different church and congregation and different thing like. But and different theme of the event or the conference or whatever.
But there was a story.
But there was
constant.
like a consistent story about him. And it almost felt like this man is always talking about money, like wealth creation, wealth management, money, this, money that. Like, it's like prosperity. Like, and I could see why people will call him a prosperity preacher. Now, I'm not a prosperity preacher. I don't have anything against prosperity preaching.
Oh no,
clear on that.
Prosperity preacher.
You know what I'm saying? So, but I kept noticing those things, and every time he said that, it would always be like, yo, by the time he's done with the sermon, it would say, the reason why he has the anointing and the passion for preaching wealth management and wealth development, especially in the black community, is because even poor people called him poor.
Yeah.
Like, he grew up poorer than poor. He grew up in such a bad state that he had to make a decision and say, man, never again. Yeah. If I'm able to get out of this situation, I will work myself. I will work on myself, ensure that I have all the money that I need, take care of my community, take care of my family, and be sure that generations after me will never have to suffer any form of poverty again, like his father and his mother had to go through. So that was like his driving force. And light bulb for me. It's not necessarily from finance aspect, but a light bulb went on for me where I'm like, wow, there is something I'm passionate about. There is something that I experienced, that I saw growing up, that made me come to that decision, never again. Right? So like there is, and that's why I'm passionate about rebuilding of kingdom homes and relationships, because I saw something that affected me so much that I'm like, I would never want to put myself or my children through this ever again. Yeah. And that's become like my driving force. And so when you see us preaching Philia Love Therapy, when you see us having My Darling Bride podcast, when you see us trying to work with young people and relationship, when you see us trying to like build kingdom homes and relationship and just like taking up space, like when you see these things that we're doing, you understand that it's coming from a passionate place, right? It's coming from somewhere, and there's a reason for it. And so I also believe that we went through everything we went through because God wanted to kind of fine-tune us, right? Take us through the fire. And if we could just come out on the other side, we'll be like gold. Not only would we be like gold, but we'll be perfect to minister healing and building of homes and relationship to generations to come. At the time, though, we didn't know that was what was going on.
Yeah, you wouldn't see
We didn't know God was preparing us for a ministry, a relationship ministry, a prayer ministry. Yeah. We would pray, we would fast, we would cry, we would fight, we would talk about things, like we would deal with so much things at that time that we didn't know this was what God was preparing us for. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's beautiful. Now, any other question?
You the interviewer. You the last I checked, you was the interviewer. I would have thrown some questions back your way, but you already answered it.
No, I'm sure.
You already answered
it. So anyway, so that's what you did to get to know me at the core, and that's beautiful. Maybe on a different time, at a different season or episode, I'll talk about what I did to get to know you at the core. But really, I really wanted this one to be about you and your perspective, because you are my darling bride, right? This is, it's not for you, it's not about you, but it's dedicated to you almost, right?
Thank you.
My darling bride, again, and it's talking about.
I got a dedication.
This is for those who are married, who are going to get married, who are purposeful in their dating, right? In their relationship, and they want it to head somewhere. And they're really serious about that. Not that you're talking about it, or you're just like, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, whatever, right? You're really serious and adamant about taking your relationship to the next level. Yeah. That's what this podcast is for and it's about. So I want to thank you for honoring us with your presence on today.
Y'all still gonna see more of me. I don't know why. You gonna see me like 2 weeks later.
No, I'm serious. The reason why I'm saying is because we put you on the hot spot, the hot seat today. So you're the guest for today. Now, as is our custom, on this podcast, right, we are going to ask you to say a word.
You didn't give me that expo before. I would have prepared something. I'm just playing.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just playing.
So we're going to ask you to say a very short few words, right?
Ha.
Just pour out your heart, right? Just pour.
Like, let me go and find my vows.
Just pour out your heart to your darling, right? Your darling groom now,
my darling
right?
groom.
Your significant other. Just share something from your heart that's not rehearsed or pressed or whatever, and just share. Now, go ahead. Let me give you 10
Why
seconds.
Are you laughing? I don't like the fact that you're
59
laughing.
seconds.
Okay.
I'm listening.
Wow. Okay. Can't be serious for nothing. Okay. All right. To my.
Don't
worry me. To my king. To my everything. I love you so much, more than you can imagine. Emotionally.
Yeah, let's. There you go.
You play too much. Okay, I love you so much because you have been an amazing man, an amazing husband, an amazing father. I couldn't have asked for a better partner in life. Not just because you show me love and you take care of me and you're my husband, not because of all the lovey-dovey stuff, but most importantly because you help me become a better woman. And I really do appreciate that because you never know how much that you need that, and I thank God for you because you always think about me. You're always working on being a better husband for me. And, they say nobody's perfect, but you're perfect for me, So, thank you.
Hey.
I could say more, but let's go say that. Let's turn off the camera.
Let's go to the secret place. I'll pray.
Okay.
Anyway, so that's it. That concludes this episode for us. I hope it's been a wonderful one.
You're not saying sweet words.
I know. On my own episode.
On my
own episode, I'll say sweet words to you.
I'm not getting this one.
But no, so before we close, we are looking for more guests.
Yes.
Per episode, per season rather. So if you would like to share your story, if you would like to be here physically with us in the studio, or you would like to join us virtually from wherever you are, we would love to have you as a guest on My Darling Bride podcast. This season, we're talking about at the core. And I really encourage you to share your story, share your relationship, share your journey with people who I'm sure will be blessed by your story and your journey. And so we are looking for you out there. If you believe you have a story, if you believe your journey it's one that can inspire the younger generation, or even anyone that is married right now and maybe going through some relationship issues. But when they hear these things, when they think about these things that we're doing, it can help them as well. And everybody's story is different.
Yeah.
And this is really why we're doing this, right? Because I really want a situation where you're able to see and learn from multiple stories with people from different walks of life, right? And I remember I was talking to you about this, right? And there was a lady we were gonna bring on. She's not Christian, right? She has a different religion and everything. And I was talking to my wife if we should bring her on because she's dealt with some real life situations, right? And is it to say that we can't learn from her because she doesn't follow our biblical religious beliefs? I don't think so. I think you can learn. In fact, the Bible teaches us to learn from the children of the world because they are wiser most of the time from the kingdom, from children of the kingdom, right? And so you take a thing or two here and there and you apply biblical principles for the betterment of your life and your relationship. As long as it's in alignment with the will and the ways of God, then why not, right? So don't be surprised is what I'm saying. If you see somebody
and
here
you get a lot
who's
of
not,
you get a lot of you would be surprised to even see that a lot of practical ways of life or biblical ways of life is practiced outside of Christianity.
Yeah, absolutely.
They might not, obviously there's a reason why they're not Christians and why, the Bible says this and that, but a lot of them practice this, and that's why you see in certain areas of their lives, they're winning.
Yeah.
They're succeeding because they're actually
applying principles.
This biblical principles in their life. Yeah.
Absolutely. So if you leave us with it, we're going to keep going on and on and on. All right, no. So I want to thank you guys one more time for joining us on today's My Darling Bride podcast. I hope we've shared a tip or two to help solidify your kingdom union with self, others, and with God today.
Don't forget to like, to share, to subscribe, and to comment down below.
And until next time, be the light,
be the salt,
and remember,
all things are possible if you believe.